Yesterday, when I was working on my kayak, I was drilling a hole for some of the wiring I was going to be running, and I was using a hole saw, and it went through the side of the kayak. I patched it up at the time, with the time I had, as best as I could. Today I'm going to kind of sand this up a little bit, buff it off, and do some more work on it. Actually, this looks pretty good. Could use a little more in here and along the edges. Alright, so I will get something, clean that up, and we'll do some more plastic welding. Okay, so I got that cleaned up. Cleaned it off with some solution. And this is a plastic welder, a lot like a soldering iron or a wood burner. And this high density polypropylene, I believe is what it is. We use sticks of that like this, which is what I used yesterday. But as I was drilling the holes to put the switches in, I had some leftover actual kayak body material, which is perfect for what we're doing here. So what I'll do is I'll get some of this and we'll start working that into this. You want to wear gloves when you do this. Inevitably, you'll get this hot plastic on your fingers and it won't come off real easy and it'll burn. I'll drop some of that, I'm not going to worry about that. And basically you just melt that end to where your hole is. Sometimes you have to rebuild it back up. I'll grab this disc piece. That's where the hole saw cut out a piece, and we'll start building that into this. So I got it melting. We can move it around a little bit, get it where we want it to go. And this will help it actually be a little bit less noticeable after we clean it up and everything. Now we're starting to get a pretty good layer on there, which is what I was looking for. Because it was pretty thin at first, thick in the wrong places. Let that dry a little bit. The trick to doing this is, when you get it kind of like where you want it, you don't want something like that burn on your finger, you kind of got to let it set up a little bit. Or you'll keep melting it and it'll get thinner and you won't cover. I like to get a fan or something like that put on it, but I'm not where I can do that at the moment. A little bit more here. There's some more in there, but what I'll do is I'll just grab a stick. the welding rod, for lack of a better term. And we'll start working some more of this into here. I was doing it upside down. The kayak was not upside down when I was doing it yesterday, which made it a little bit more difficult. I couldn't believe that I didn't gauge the hole saw depth, the drill bit on the end of it. I thought it was going to miss it, but it sure enough drilled a hole through there. Felt like a complete moron. So now let's go in a little bit at the bottom. And the hole's actually right in here, but the screen was bigger than the hole. I want to be sure and cover the screen really well. And I'm not an expert at this by any stretch of the imagination. This is something I've done a few times. There's some thin area down here. I can weld metal a lot better than I weld plastic, but I get the gist of it. Looks like I got some garbage or something in there. I don't know. So I can scrape some of that off. We'll clean that up here in a little bit. So we'll let that kind of set up and dry. You look right there, you can see some of the screen peeking through. That's because this is a little bit transparent. That's okay, as long as we got a good coating over it. Right in here, looks like we have a rough edge. See if we can melt that into the hole a little bit better. Okay. It's getting pretty hot. We need to let that dry. It looks a little bit messy, but that's okay. Just a kayak. And I have outriggers on it to help it stay afloat also, so even if it does get a little bit of water in it, it'll be fine. I don't think this will. I think this is going to seal up perfectly. I'm not seeing the screen where I saw it at before. Gonna cut that piece off, leave it in there. I think that will be about where I want it. Yeah, that's a lot better than what it was. All right, so now I'll grab my safety glasses and we'll grind a little bit more on this. All right, so what I did with the kayak, so I had LED wire strips running on here across the surface using Gorilla Tape, and I had a marine battery I would stick in the back, and I wanted to change that up a bit. So I got through the whole wiring kit, and I got some navigation lights up front. I put in the LED lights like you see here on both sides, and I started by putting these in first, drill a hole. And you think it'd be easy just to drop a wire down through here, keep pushing it till it gets to here where the hatch is. You can get inside. There's some wiring, kind of a mess, but it's all right. So I had an access port there, no big deal, but there's a shelf underneath this part that kept getting in the way, so it took me longer than I anticipated to get all those wires run through there. The hole got into the side of the kayak when I used a hole saw to drill this hole for the LED bar. When I drilled this hole for the LED bar, that's when the drill bit for the hole saw went through the side of the kayak. But I got this one ran. It was kind of a pain also. These were easy to put in, and I drilled a single hole through here. Didn't use a hole saw, just to run these two wires through for the battery, and put a grommet there. The little lithium battery sits right here, and this plugs into it that powers all the lights and everything. And then I put in the LED rocker switches that you see here, so I can turn the LED bar on individually, the navigation lights on, or the lights here in the seating area, so I can see what I'm doing, because I usually get to the lake real early in the morning. It's dark, or sometimes I fish into the late evening. Extended the paddle connectors out because I put an outriggers on. I'll talk more about those later, but this works a lot better than actually bolting them here, because the outrigger bars were in the way.